Hello, algebra students. Today I'm going to talk to you about graphing linear equations in slope-intercept form, using that form, y equals mx plus b. If you have not already watched these two previous videos, I recommend watching them first. First, I recommend watching the video entitled Finding the Slopes of Lines, and then you can watch the video, The Slope-Intercept Form of the Line, and then you can come back here and we'll graph together. So if you want to graph this line and someone gave it to you in this form, standard form, you could first get y alone by using your inverse operations. In this case, in order to get y alone, we could add 2 to both sides and we would have y isolated or all alone. Once you've done that, then you can plot the y-intercept. How can I figure out the y-intercept? If I knew what b was, then I would know the y-intercept. And we know that if it's in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, which means in this case, b is 1. And so our y-intercept is 0, 1. And so we can plot that point right away. The next thing we would do is we would start at that y-intercept, and then we would use the slope in order to find our way to the second point on the line. In this case, the slope is positive 2 or positive 2 over 1, which means the rise is up 2 and the run is positive 1. So we, from point to point to point on this line, we go up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1. So from that y-intercept, we'll go up 2, 1, 2, and to the right 1. And there's the second point on the line. And you only need 2 points to define the line. You can connect those dots and you've got a sketch of that line. Y equals 2x plus 1. So now there are 4 practice problems. You can pause the video, practice those same steps, and then press play for the solution 4 times to make sure you've got it down. Steps, we'll first get y alone by subtracting 3 to both sides. Then we will plot the y-intercept, which is 0, negative 3. Then we will start at that point, 0, negative 3, and go down 3 to the right 1 to get our second point. From the y-intercept, down 3 to the right 1, and connect the dots, and that's our sketch. So pause the video and practice on your own paper, and then press play for the solution. Steps. First, we're going to get y alone. We're going to add 2 to both sides, and then we're going to divide everything by 3, and now we've got y alone. Then we're going to find b. b is negative 4, so our y-intercept is 0, negative 4. We'll plot that point, and then from that point, we'll go up 2 and to the right 3. So we'll plot that y-intercept, 0, negative 4, and then from that point, we'll go up 2 to the right 3, and there's our next point. We only need 2 points. We can connect the dots and sketch our line. Pause the video, practice on your own paper, and then press play for the solution. In order to graph this using the slope-intercept form, we would start by getting y alone. We would do inverse operations. We'd subtract 4x from both sides, and then we would divide both sides, or divide everything, by negative 3. Remembering that a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And so now we see the slope is 4 over 3, or up 4 over 3, and we see the y-intercept. B is 2, so the y-intercept is 0, 2. We plot that first. And then from that y-intercept, we're going to go up 4 and over 3 to get our second point. And then we connect the dots, and there's our sketch of our graph. 4th practice problem, pause, do on your own paper, and then press play for the solutions. Y is already alone, so we can go right to finding b. b is 2, so our y-intercept is 0, 2. The slope is negative 1, or negative 1 over positive 1, so down 1 to the right 1. So we can plot our y-intercept, 0, 2, and then go down 1 over 1 to get our second point. And we connect those dots for the sketch of the graph. You can also work backwards. If you see the graph, you can work backwards to determine what the equation of the line was. And how do we do that? Our steps are, first we look on the graph and say, where does it cross the y-axis? Right there. So my y-intercept is 0, 3, so B is 3 for this one. And then we find any point, any time that it goes right over an actual point, and we compare those two numbers. So our first thing is we look on the graph, we see where the y-intercept is, and then we know, in this case, the y-intercept 0, 3, so B is 3. The next thing we do is we find another point and we compare to find the rise or the run. So to go from our y-intercept to this other point, we will go down 1 and then 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right 4. So the rise is -1 and the run is +4. Now that we have M and we have B, we know y equals mx plus b, so we can plug it in and we have the equation of our line. Pause, practice on your own paper, and then press play for the solution. First thing we do is determine b. Where does it cross the y-axis? Right here at 0, 2, so that means b has to be 2. Next thing we do, we find any other point on the graph and we compare, how did I get from here to here? To get from this point, my y-intercept, to this other point, I went up 2 and to the right 3. Up 2 to the right 3, or +2 over 3. Now that I know m and I know b, I can use y equals mx plus b, plug in my m, plug in my b, and I know the equation of the line. Pause, find the equation of the line, and then press play for the solution. First, I'm going to look and see where's the y-intercept. 0, -2, so b is -2. And then I can compare any 2 points on the line. I'm going to choose this one closest, and I see it's up 1 to the right 1, up 1 over 1, or 1. And when the slope is 1, I don't even have to write it. I could, but I don't have to. So pause, practice on your own paper, and then press play. Now, first we can find the y-intercept is 0, 3, so b is 3. And we see that we could choose this point for our second point. We see there's no rise. The rise is 0, 1 to the right. So when 0 is in the numerator, that's a legitimate number, 0. When the slope is 0, it's a horizontal line, which means y always goes up 3. You could use mx plus b and then simplify. But y is always 3. No matter what, my height is always 3. Now, the special cases, vertical lines or horizontal lines, if x is always over 2, I could draw it like the axes are here. That would be the graph. X is always over 2. And now practice, what would this graph be? Y is always -3. The graph would be a horizontal line where these are the axes. So I will leave you with Pinot and Willow and wish you a great day.